I wish I could have gone back and told my younger self to do some more wellbeing stuff and look after myself a lot better.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Tegan. If you didn't already know, I am from the My Morning crew. E mahi ana hau ki te reo irirangi o Mai FM. I'm very, very pleased to be here and be able to facilitate this amazing chat with these amazing women. The final session of today, which is where we're at right now, is about hearing real life experiences. And I'm very pleased to be joined by these incredible wahine that are sitting right next to me. They've all experienced different barriers, hurdles, and incredible heartwarming moments while competing in sport. So very first, we're going to get a round of applause after every single one. And if you guys start chatting, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to yell out, can I get a yes, yes? And when I say that, you got to reply, yes, yes. All right? So can I get a yes, yes? Yes, yes. Oh, that was kind of quiet though. So can I get a yes, yes? Yes, yes. Sweet. That's how I'll know that you're paying attention, all right? Because this is going to be really cool. So our very first guest is Anna. Anna is an international New Zealand cricket player. Her international experience spans over 8 years, playing both one day and T20. She's the first cricketer for New Zealand to take the hat-trick in a women's T20 international. She retired from all forms of cricket in 2022 and is currently Female Game Development Officer for Auckland Rugby Union. So let's give her a round of applause, please. Very nice. Our next guest is Molly. She's in her third year of a football scholarship at Seton Hill University over in the United States. As it's her summer break, she's going to be gaining work experience. She's been an intern at Sport NZ. She's working with the marketing team and human resource team. She's grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and experience in the sports field growing up has enabled her to experience what sport can offer to so many people. So round of applause for Molly as well. And lastly, we have the very special Fern. She's an under-17 basketball rec from right here in Counties Manukau. She's also a rower as well. So her experience in sport ranged from rep basketball to rowing in the water and competing. She's a proud wahine Māori, and she brings rich cultural insights on e kura and tikanga from Te Ao Māori viewpoint. So let's give a massive round of applause for Fern as well. So I'm going to open up this panel, and this is to the whole group, but I'll get you to answer first, Anna, if that's all right. What was your experience when you first started menstruating, and what guidance did you receive? How did you navigate it through physical activity?
Good question. Look, my first experience was pretty embarrassing, to be perfectly honest. I was so embarrassed I didn't even tell my mum. I think the only reason she cottoned on to the fact that I'd got my period was I was stealing her period products out of the bathroom, and so they were going missing, and there was no real sort of education or anything around it. I mean, I'm only 32, and I like to think that I grew up in a pretty good age and stage, but went to school and there was no real education around it, so navigating that was kind of scary.
You know how you were stealing your mum's stuff?
Yeah.
Did you even know how to use it though?
No.
What'd you do?
Well, there was no Google either. We were pretty. I mean, there was Google, but you had to dial up and that sort of thing.
Dial up? I don't know if you guys know what dial up is because you guys are young as, but basically you'd log into your Facebook and it'd take about 15 minutes to log in. Imagine that. But then log in, you want to click and stalk your ex-boyfriend's profile? Another 15 minutes. Annoying.
Yeah, so not a timely thing. Wasn't great. So just, would read the packet and try and figure it out, and look, it was a hard time. It was a hard time, yeah.
How about you, Molly?
Yeah, for me, we got little bags of tampons and stuff in year 7 health class, but it wasn't until year 9 I really got my first period. So you kind of look, when you're year 7, you're kind of like, oh, whatever, you don't really take it in that much. But I was a competitive swimmer at the time, so it was quite hard, the next day having to go to swimming, and you've got to wear togs and you've got to learn how to use a tampon sort of straight away. And then you're always conscious of, is the string sticking out, kind of thing. But I was lucky, I have an older sister, so I was able to talk to her a bit. But it wasn't until I think year 12 I went into the supermarket and bought my first box of tampons all by myself, and I still went to the self-checkout because I didn't want the guy at the register to know that I bought tampons, which when I look back now I think, I really had nothing to be afraid of. It's not a secret that we're all going through it.
Isn't it so funny that we're so embarrassed to buy stuff like that at the supermarket when literally half of the world have it? We all have it. Well, I mean, you boys, you don't have it, lucky, but, you know, most of us do have it. But how about you, Fern?
Oh, well, you guys got yours when you were old, but I got mine when I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So I was really, really young. I was really confused, and I didn't understand what was happening to my body. I had to stay home with my mum, and she had to talk to me about what it's like getting my ikora for Māori women. How our tupuna, we believe that when you get your ikora, you are more connected to your whakapapa. How you connect more to Papa Tuanuku. Having your ikora represents mana for womanhood, and it's tapu, but it's something that should be celebrated, and it's just special for women. And that really gave me a lot of confidence at that age, when you're so young and you don't understand what's happening to your body. It just made me feel more comfortable in myself at such a young age, going through primary school and not really knowing how to talk to other girls or relate to other girls when you have your period. It was a tough time, but when you get older, I think it's definitely an experience that you benefit from.
You might be able to speak on it a little bit more, Fern, but I learned, it wasn't until in my mid-20s, and I'm only 26 now, so I don't know, like in the last 2 years, I learned that, you know, that whole shame that a lot of us do carry with sometimes having our period is actually quite a colonised idea. Not to get too deep, but, you know, for especially in Te Ao Māori, having your period, that was so special. And if you had your period, it was like, oh, no, you don't do nothing. We're going to work around you. You just rest, you just do your thing. And because your body can give life, and it's such an amazing thing. So just remember that. If you ever feel shame about it, just remember, my body's mean. Like, look what I can do. Not saying you should be giving any life. You guys are still kids, but, you know what I'm saying. Like, what it can do eventually as an adult is actually really, really impressive. So, Anna, you've had a long and great international sporting career. During your career, did you experience, like, what were your experiences toward your menstrual cycle? Did it change as you were playing, like, with your sports? And what additional changes have you experienced since finishing your career?
Yeah, good question. I remember sort of halfway through my career, we had a really hectic period. I think we had 3 World Cups in 2 years, and I sort of looked at that and I was like, right, and the World Cups were in places like India, Sri Lanka, the Caribbean, that sort of thing, places where it's not as easy to just walk out of the hotel and go to the supermarket. You kind of have to talk to your security guard and then go and, you know, get you some stuff. So I decided during that period I'd go on the pill, and just to not have to deal with it, you know, and if I'm perfectly honest, I wish I hadn't, you know. Now I've come off that, and my body's gone through, I guess, the repercussions of that, I guess, a little bit. And, you know, if I was to do it again in this day and age, where there are things like period undies, which are great, I love period undies, I wouldn't go on the pill, you know. Life would be so much easier. You wouldn't have to worry about, you know, the stresses of being out in the field and thinking, gosh, am I going to have to, like, go and change and that sort of thing. You're actually fine.
What colour were your uniforms?
Well, good, black.
Oh, yeah,
so,
well, thank God for that.
Yeah, but all my life, up until I played sort of domestic first-class cricket, it was all white. And that was the most terrifying thing in the world, you know. And often you're in teams with boys, and you're playing in venues where there are no female changing facilities, or there aren't even toilets in some cases. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is great, you know.
Or even like toilets, but no sanitary bin, you know,
100%.
no sort of discreet place you can sort of handle it.
Yeah, so it's very terrifying. But I know, like, chatting with some people at New Zealand Cricket, they're looking at changing that completely so that there are no more whites for girls, which would be awesome.
That's amazing. And Molly, do you recognise a difference in how your body performs during your menstrual cycle?
Yeah, I notice I get quite tired during it, but it's sort of nothing like, if you need to give yourself a break, give yourself a break. There's no shame in it. But we actually had, my coach in the US had someone come in and talk to us about how, you know, female bodies are actually different during the time of your period, which is something like I've never really been taught before. And your joints during the time of your period, your joints sort of swell a bit more and you're more prone to injury during this time, which is quite interesting. And I guess as a team sport, it's quite hard to cater your trainings to, you know, like whether you're on your period or not, because you've kind of got to do what everyone else is doing. So I think it applies more to sort of individual sports. Like if you're a runner, you know, maybe take it a bit easier that week. But yeah.
That's so interesting. But like, so you couldn't really adapt your training so much. So is there ever a time where you're playing a team sport where you guys all end up in sync? Like Cycle Sisters? That's what I was thinking.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens, eh?
Yeah, it does happen, yeah.
I was thinking, surely then you can adapt the training to everyone who's on their cycle. It's so interesting. Anna, what do you do to support your own well-being, and what advice would you give to others, especially in regards to your menstruation cycle?
Great question again. I mean, look, I wish I could have gone back and told my younger self to actually do some more well-being stuff and look after myself a lot better. But I think the best thing I've done recently is I've downloaded an app. It's called Wild AI, and it tracks my cycle. But it also tracks it in relation to, you know, what you can do training-wise in certain parts of your cycle, and also, you know, tracks your sleep and how well you're going and stuff. It's not too intrusive or too invasive, but I've found it really helpful. And adding in things like mindfulness, breath work, particularly, you know, I know in times of stress, breath work and stuff has been really important, particularly when you are on your period or it's, you know, you're kind of getting, I guess, a little bit of the extra hormones and stuff going through. That's been insane. It's been so good. So yeah, highly recommend if you've got a phone to download Wild AI. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, shape or form. Great app to use. So.
There's also so many apps you can use that just track all that kind of stuff. But Fern, I'm going to go to you again. During your time participating in when you do rowing, what challenges did you face in relation to it being tapu to be on the water while menstruating, and how did you overcome these challenges, and sort of what support did you receive at that time?
It was, that was really difficult because when I started rowing, it didn't really occur to me what would happen when I got my ikora. And when I spoke to my parents about it, it was really, you know, follow tikanga or do your sport. It was a real crossroad, really. I just didn't know what to do. But when the time came, I had to talk to my coach about it. And that was really difficult because he wasn't Māori and he was a male. And I didn't know what kind of reaction it was going to be. It wasn't gonna, like, I had a feeling he was just going to say, nah, bro, like, I know you just don't want to train, like, get back on the water.
No, I'm not being lazy, I swear.
No. Gee, I got problems going on. But it was a tough conversation to have, you know, trying to explain to someone who's Pākehā the mindset of what it's like to have your period and the difficulties you can face. It didn't really help that I was the only Māori girl in my club. My mum was the only brown parent, and there was no one we could really talk to about issues that had never really aroused in the club before. But I just had to go with it. Had to get on the boat and just row. But I started wearing period undies, which was less disrespectful, I felt, to Tangaroa, because if the boat ever did flip and I was on my menstrual cycle, my menstrual blood wouldn't be flowing into the ocean and it wouldn't be as tapu.
So that was kind of your compromise so do you think that was your compromise, sort of wearing things like period underwear and stuff like that? And do you feel a lot better about it now, rowing?
Yeah. I don't feel like it's as tapu as it was when I wouldn't wear them.
And how's your coach now? Is he like open to talk about it, or he was just happy that you had the conversation?
I think he was just happy to know that I don't think he'd ever like this. It never occurred to him the cultural difference it could make.
Yeah.
Because he's always had, I don't know, it's always been a Pākehā mindset in the club.
Yeah.
And I think these new ideas really brought along new conversations different girls.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But, you know, you having that conversation means that, like, someone else doesn't have to have that scary conversation because now your coach knows.
Yeah.
So you're actually, well, you did a mean thing. You did a mean thing. Molly, how has your participation in football throughout school enabled you to take an experience on a scholarship to America? And has there been a difference in attitudes between sort of menstruating in sport between New Zealand and America?
Yeah, I always sort of saw my friends, like older siblings, sort of do it, and I was like, oh, this is, like, go over to the States. I was like, oh, this is something that would be really cool for me to go over. And I was always that kid who tried every sport that, you know, was available at the time. And I actually was better at cross country than I was at football, but I really liked the football aspect and the team sort of, you know, concept of it. And so I just decided to stick with football just because I enjoyed it more. And so I went over in 2020 in the middle of COVID, which was quite scary. But in terms of differences between sort of how menstruation's viewed over there, I haven't noticed a huge difference in terms of, you know, being able to talk about it with your friends. And, you know, I've had male coaches, so that was sort of something that, you know, I haven't really brought up here or over there. But I know in the bathrooms and stuff in the States, they have like little coin dispensary tampons in all of the bathrooms, which I know for a lot of people have come in quite handy, which I notice a lot of places don't do here, which was quite interesting to see that difference.
Also, it almost should be free though, eh?
Yeah.
I'm like, at my work, I mean, they've just put in, they're like called dignity baskets, and it's like, I mean, why is it called a dignity basket? It's fine, but you know, you can go in, and if you need a tampon or pad or whatever, it's just there, supplied. But I mean, that's one cool thing to have it in the bathroom, but surely for free. Wait, I don't want to pay for it. This is a question for everyone. And we kind of touched on this before about uniform, but Anna, have you had any sporting uniform that you just didn't have the confidence in its suitability to perform while you were menstruating?
Well, yes, all of the uniform.
Every single one?
No, look, I think, yeah, the whites obviously were not great. And actually, to be fair, there was a period of time where our training kit for New Zealand was light grey as well, so you just... any kind of moisture anywhere around this area would show up.
Yeah, grey's not even good for sweat.
No good.
Your armpits are always black after a training session in grey.
Yeah, no good.
How about you, Molly?
Yeah, my home kit for my team in the States is completely white all over, and you know, you sort of, if you are on your period, you have to wear, like, obviously a tampon, and then you have to wear bike shorts, which are so uncomfortable, but you got to wear them as that extra layer of protection. And then, you know, you wear a pad as well, and then you're constantly checking throughout the whole day whether, you know, it's come through or not, or even if you're expecting your period, you can't really use a tampon at that point, so it's even scarier. You know, it is scary.
How about you, Fern? Because in rowing, don't you have to wear a one piece? Yeah. What's that like?
You gotta wear like these like short as skins. Bro, it's gross as, it's like a Hooters uniform. But you can see everything in there. But obviously you got period undies. I mean, I don't wear tampons, but you got all these other resources it's beneficial for Papatuanuku too, non-wasteful products.
Like wearing a cup or something like that as well, eh? Yeah. So do you reckon that rowing uniform's going to change, or it's just going to stay one piece?
Bro, it'll forever stay one piece. Like, there's a reason people watch rowing so often.
Maybe we'll see the change in the next few years if you're rowing. Maybe. Hey, but that's all we've got time for. Thank you, whānau, for listening so much. I just want to thank Anna, Molly and Fern so much. So can we have a massive round of applause? All my te paki.